continues to be debated within the African American community as well as City Hall. Well, today in Roxbury, the topic often got heated.
I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I can't stand this country to what they did to my people.
Wanda Hervey isn't alone in her frustration. One by one, members of Boston's African American community stepped up to the mic to tell a commission on reparations what the term means to them.
Reparations is cash, it's land, it's education, it's these other functions that are included. It's not just money.
Longtime Boston City Council member Charles Yancey gave the room a history lesson on reparations promised to slaves after the Civil War.
The enslaved people of this country were promised their share of the wealth once the Civil War was over, and that has yet to happen. Let's set the tone for the United States of America right here in the city of Boston.
There is discussion among this commission and white churches in Boston to invest $50 million into the black community.
We acknowledge the truth of violence perpetuated in stolen lives, stolen land, stolen labor, and make a commitment to work with you to uncover the truth and work for repair.
The number, $15 billion awarded to Boston's African American community, has been part of the discussion, but that is far from done. The head of this commission describes how they came up with that number.
$15 billion, which is not enough. Every life is incalculable. We think about tens of thousands of slaves who died in the midst of slavery in Boston. How do you put a number on that? They died in slavery while their white counterparts flourished.
We have spoken to the mayor about this topic. She's put together a special task force within City Hall to study this topic and come up with recommendations on what continues to be a very controversial topic. We're live in Roxbury. I'm Ted Wayman, WCVB News Center 5.
Demanding justice after 23-year-old Air Force Airman Roger Fortson was shot and killed inside his own home by a sheriff's deputy. The Okaloosa County Sheriff is now releasing body cam video of the fatal shooting, and he's disputing the family's claim that his deputy went to the wrong apartment. We want to warn you, some of the footage you're about to see is disturbing. CNN's Nick Valencia reports.
Newly obtained police dispatch audio reveals the first call came in around 4 p.m. on May 3rd about a physical disturbance in progress.
Don't have any further other than a male and female. It's all fourth-party information through the front desk at the leasing office.
Around 4:29 p.m., the 4-minute police body camera video begins with an Okaloosa County, Florida Sheriff's deputy arriving on the scene.
He's saying that it happens frequently,
Okay.
but this time it sounded like it was getting out of hand.
A woman at the complex tells the deputy she heard yells and a slap coming from the apartment 2 weeks ago, but wasn't sure exactly where it came from. Eventually, she directs the deputy to 4th floor apartment 1401, the home of 23-year-old senior airman Roger Fortson, saying the girl who made the call about the physical disturbance sounded scared. At 4:31 p.m., the deputy knocks once without introducing himself. Roughly 30 seconds later, he knocks again twice. A warning, what you're about to see over the next 20 seconds is graphic.
Step out.
Fortson, who appears in the body camera video to have a lowered firearm in his right hand, was shot 6 times to the chest. He survived the initial shooting.
312, get EMS my location.
But was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
My baby was my everything. Roger was my 3rd son. Where we come from, you don't end up where Roger ended up.
Adding to their pain, Fortson's family believes deputies went to the wrong address, a claim that the sheriff disputed while defending his deputy's actions. Ben Crump, Natalie Jackson, and Brian Barr represent the family. They say the initial police statement was misleading and left out key details of the shooting.
It makes you think this happened outside, that this kid was in the middle of a disturbance, and he did something. He instigated this and lost his life. That's what it makes it sound like. It sounded like justified.
We are aware of a press release and other comments that falsely state our deputy entered the wrong apartment and imply that they burst through the door into Mr. Fortson's residence.
During the shooting, the airman was on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend, who Crump says told him there was never a disturbance at Fortson's home. Crump says Fortson had been home alone just 30 minutes before the deputy arrived. He heard 2 knocks at the door, and when he couldn't see anyone through the peephole, Crump said, citing the girlfriend, then Fortson grabbed his gun, which Crump said he legally owned. In the girlfriend's FaceTime video, we hear Fortson struggle to breathe after the shooting as he lies on the floor, bleeding out.
Do not move, stop moving!
The deputy is now on paid administrative leave while the Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigates.
The state attorney's office in Okaloosa County tells me that they are going to wait for the FDLE to finish their investigation before they decide whether to pursue charges. I did get in touch with the chief assistant state attorney there in the county, who tells me that he did see the video, but he refused to comment, adding that it's too early for them to do anything with the case. He also said that there's no expected timeline as to when the FDLE will wrap their investigation. Nick Valencia, CNN, Atlanta.
All right, joining me now to talk more about this tragic shooting is Derek Johnson. He is the president of the NAACP. Derek, great to see you. So, from Roger Fortson's family to his attorneys, this is upsetting for many reasons. How do you see this?
Well, another example of when you don't have any accountability metrics for police officers to de-escalate scenarios. But in this case, the question is, what crime was committed? What crime was allegedly committed? And there was no crime. He simply was seeking to answer the door of a police knock. And at some point, we must, as a society, determine the type of nation we would like to be as opposed to what's taking place. In 2023, we had a 10-year high of police-involved shootings of individuals. Significant number of those individuals were African Americans, and a large number of those individuals were unarmed. When will we stop this madness and address this public policy fiasco where we are allowing law enforcement officers just to kill people and never be held accountable?
This body cam footage, reveals the deputy knocked on the door at this Fort Walton Beach apartment that a neighbor, as we saw in Nick Valencia's piece, pointed out, but seemingly with uncertainty. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, is going to investigate while the Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputy, who is unnamed, is on leave. Does this feel urgent or transparent enough to you?
It is completely untransparent. First of all, you have a neighbor who heard an argument, a domestic disturbance between 2 people who were familiar with one another. That person never stated, based on what's been shared publicly, that there was violence that rose to the level of armed deadly force. Secondly, he was home alone. This neighbor had the wrong apartment. And thirdly, the girlfriend was on FaceTime with him. What crime did he commit to cause this officer to use deadly force? It is legal for an individual to have a firearm in their home. It is legal for someone like him to actually have an altercation so long as no one's life is at risk. And there's no evidence that the apartment that was called was his apartment, and there's no evidence that anyone's life was at risk.
Do you have confidence in the FDLE leading this investigation?
Unfortunately, we have a history in this nation where law enforcement agencies protect officers who commit these type of crimes, in my opinion. There is no accountability. In fact, until we pass the George Floyd Police Reform Act, we're going to continue to see these same type incidents. That's why it's important to make sure that we have a Congress with enough courage to hold bad officers accountable, train good